Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the B Team. Yes, Joshua Hoffman, we know you're late. We're late, just like your girlfriend. Anyways, that was
Well,
harsh.
we hope not.
I was just yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe that's what he's shooting for. Anyways, we are the B Team, brought to you by Jackrabbit Illustrated, a part of the Splitting Hairs podcast group. We are also on the FCS Fans Nation podcasting network, brought to you as always by Drake's Place in Bottle, South Dakota, much more than a convenience store. They've got the best pizzas in South Dakota, calzones, sandwiches. The 605 Hog is my personal favorite. They've got on and off sale liquor, plus your normal convenience store prices and gas out at the pump. So go out there if you're up in the Bottle, northwest, north central part of the state. Stop on by on your way out to hunt and get everything you can need. And we're also brought to you by Cottonwood Coffee and Bistro in Brookings, South Dakota. They are your one-stop shop for the best coffee in the state, as well as awesome breakfasts if you are in town, or get their coffee in Minnesota Walmarts. Also, you can get their coffee online. Use code JI22 to get 10% off your order. Some restrictions may apply. Anyways, we're back. We didn't have anything going on this weekend. Ben came over. Chad came over. We all watched FCS playoff football. It was a blast. It's my favorite weekend of the year. Ron Lowney, I will get to you, sir. And Mr. Helton, I will also get to you. I have words for you, Mr. Helton. You cost me $50. More correctly, Eastern Kentucky getting pantsed by Garner freaking Webb cost me $50. What a freaking joke. Get your shit together, whack son. My God. Seth Meyer plans on stopping at Drake's. That a boy? Hell yeah.
Let him know we sent it.
Yeah, let him know that we said he's watched. He knows we sent him. Anyways, no, it was a fun weekend. We got to watch quite a bit of football at my place. Chad was by a little later. He was putting up a pole barn. But otherwise, what did you think of the weekend here, Ben, so far with how the playoffs started? Because we've got a lot to get into when it comes to the committee and stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, they were fun matchups. You know, a lot of points scored, which is always fun.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of defense being played in some of those games, but only a couple of lopsided matchups. Other than that, they were pretty good games. We'll get into them a little later, but some of them went down to the wire and everything, and set up some intriguing matchups for a second round here. So, yeah, I'm excited. It's been good so far.
Yeah, UND, I thought they were going to get murdered out of the gate, and it's like, oh, geez, guys.
They were headed that way.
Yeah, they were headed that way because since Ron just comes in trying to talk conference smack talk like I care. Okay, good for you. I don't think they give out a trophy for the best the conference that had the best playoff record at the end of the year, but they do give a trophy out to the national champion, something that the Big Sky hasn't had in like 5 or 6 years. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
That game could have gone a little differently if they would have hosted it where they should have hosted it.
Right. If the committee wasn't on the take, like at this point, every conspiracy theory is valid about the committee
until proven otherwise.
Right. And, I feel bad for guys like Sam Herder and Matt Frazee and Kyler Neal and all these guys that have interviewed committee members, and they all, and me to an extent, everybody took them at their word that things were on the up and up and that things went a certain way. The highest bid hosts the playoffs, because there's been plenty of instances where teams that are far better have had to go on the road because they didn't put up the bid or whatever. There's been instances of Nichols State hosting and having the visiting team use tents for their locker room,
which just so happened to also be UND. Yeah.
There's always been the theory that frickin' Dustin, I talk about a damn want. He says you don't want to talk about hoisting natties, Brendan. Maybe I will after this year. But anyways, they just did whatever the hell they want. you go on one hand and they say Weber got to host because they had the better resume and they were almost a seed. Well, that's never happened before, especially when you get outbid by $85,000. I'd have bought it if it was like a $10,000 difference. Like, okay, cool, give it to him. And honestly, if you are a big Sky fan or a Montana State fan or Weber fan listening to this, I genuinely am happy UND lost. Like, I just don't like UND. I don't want any Missouri Valley team to advance past the first round. I'm on record on here saying I want to be the only Missouri Valley team in the playoff because I don't want to face them in the playoffs. It just helps us in recruiting when they don't do well. So whatever. Anyways, it's crazy. So you go from that, right? And you ignore the bid. And then you go with the Montana side of things and you admit that, yeah, we didn't know the bid, but we knew Montana was going to put in a big bid, and that was a factor, which is something that was always swore up and down. No, we don't take that into account. And fans have always accused them of that, of Montana's going to get in because they have a huge bid. That goes back decades. And then they go and finally admit, I mean, God bless him. Either Truex is the people's champion, and he saw all the dirty bullshit happening in that back room and is just said, you know what, this is gross, this needs to be burned down, and is just outing all of it, or he's the dumbest son of a bitch alive. And I don't believe that an AD for a school like that can be stupid. So I think he's just airing it all out. It's crazy. But the thing to me that's a really, really, really bad look about all this is for NDSU. When your AD is on the committee and then you let this happen to one of your rivals. Like if this happened, like say Sal was on the committee and then that happened to NDSU, there would be pitchforks and they would be attempting to burn down Brookings, South Dakota right now if that happened. And I get it. Funny that it happened to UND. I find it a little bit funny, but the not funny part is when it's going to happen to somebody else, when they can go off the rails like this and just spit in the face of precedents that's been around for years. Because we have all said you should regionalize the bracket, or you shouldn't, not that you should seed the bracket and have the best team host, not because of money. You shouldn't be able to host because of money, but that's the way it is. And then when you don't tell anybody that you change it and just change it because you goddamn feel like it, it doesn't make any sense. And then you make a conference champion travel on the road to Montana who was a bubble team when your whole thing was, and SEMO also had a ranked win. And then the Montana Magic happened there. I don't want to call them Devil Magic. The Montana Devil Magic happened up there in the playoffs, which we can all relate with. It's a joke. Like that whole thing needs to be burned down and started over. I mean, light the whole thing on fire. And if every FCS conference commissioner isn't just livid about it, then they should be fired and put a new one in place.
Yeah, I mean, the worst part's the hypocrisy of it. Like, Ron mentioned something about it's all about the money. Well, is it? Because they took less money to let Weber host a game. Where on the other side, they took money to have Montana be in. So it just the wishy-washy feel of it, and just like basically we'll do whatever we want, and there's really no rules. I mean, like it's a mess. And you talked about it on Twitter. I think we just need to burn the whole thing down. And like I really hope that the FCS ADs as a whole get together and try to do something about it, because it's a joke. I mean, it makes the conference look bad, or not the conference, our division,
the whole
FCS
subdivision
level look bad. And and this is on the heels of a conference flipping a coin to figure out their conference champion. So
yeah, and who would have thought that was going to be more transparent? That's what I've been waiting to say. Like that ended up being way more transparent and above board than the FCS committee. All we need is Jamie Williams to come in here and like sit in the FCS committee meetings or something, so that they actually happen with like some actual scruples, because the way it is, apparently they're completely scrupulous. So
I mean between Jamie, the job he did to get that out in the open, and then Sam Herder came out with an article today talking about how we need to revamp this playoff thing, and probably should see the top 16. And, I think that if we get enough momentum from guys like that are kind of influential in the FCS world, that I think that, something may get done about it, but we'll see, I guess.
Well, in that article you referenced from Sam Herder, if you're listening and you haven't read that, that is required reading, in my opinion. That was such a good article from Sam Herder about what the committee can do, should do, all that stuff, the changes that should be made. He talks about the current contract and how that expires in 2024 with ESPN for hosting or for having the media rights for the playoffs and all the championships for the NCAA, sans the men's basketball tournament. And right now it's only $34 million across the board total. That's insane. And then he put in there that they're probably going to separate women's basketball tournament and shop that separately as well. Because right now the women's basketball tournament alone is valued around $112 million on the low end. So, and then he brought up the numbers that view the FCS title games and things like that and how that compares, and how the FCS tournament alone is worth more than $34 million to a media broadcast company. So that, to me, that's going to be a huge deal. What does that end up being? I personally tend to think, with the way the NCAA works and all that stuff, seeding the top 24 might not happen, but I could see them seeding the top 16 if they get a good media deal, backing off on raping these schools for the ticket revenue. They're taking 80. Not only do you bid, you have to give 85% of your ticket revenue. And people wonder why JMU was losing money. And you wonder why there's not incentive for these programs to do well and be in the playoffs if it costs them money. I mean, if you look at that and you're a Western Illinois who doesn't have money anyways, I mean, why would you ever want to host? It's crazy.
And the NCAA also requires your ticket price to be tied into your average ticket price for the year too, right? If I'm not correct. So
I believe it has to be like at your lowest ticket. It can't be below your lowest ticket price at some point during the year or something along those lines is what I remember. But it's crazy. I mean, if you can leave $85,000 on the table, you can stop hiding behind the garbage regionalization stuff. I mean, I think they're trying to be fair to Montana. They thought they were tired from watching MSU run up and down the field. Yeah, I was tired watching Montana State run up and down the field on them. And the thing I find interesting is the people who use beating SEMO as some sort of validation for Montana. I don't really buy that. I don't buy that for a lot of first round games, honestly. Generally speaking, I don't think a lot of those matchups are something that validates a program that's supposed to be the stature of Montana. It would have validated something for SEMO if SEMO would have won. I could see them as a program up on the come up because they look good. Their lines look good and things like that until it fell apart in the second half, reminiscent to something we don't talk about around here. But otherwise, I mean, some of these games in the first round with the automatic bids, which, yeah, I get it. It sucks, but that's an NCAA law. If you qualify for an automatic bid as a conference, you're going to get it. They're not going to just take that away. And before you say just take it away, remember, that's how SDSU and the Summit League gets an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. That is why that exists. So it's just part of it. Sometimes things suck and you just got to swallow that pill. It is what it is. I don't know. Do you have anything else on that, Ben, outside of the?
I don't think so. Seth Meyer had a good point. In it is the revenue or the bid. So when you make a bid, it's guaranteeing that much revenue, right?
Which makes sense.
Your ticket revenue, you're assuming you're going to sell enough tickets to make up that.
I might have to reread that article because I thought it said that it was 85% of the ticket sales as well.
I don't think it's in addition.
Maybe
I think it's saying that, like the schools are saying that we're going to sell enough tickets where 85% of it will make up at least the bid amount.
And I mean, even so, you're still getting just gashed.
Oh yeah,
How many plane trips? I mean, I don't know how much a private jet costs, but geez, $127,000 is a big bid. I would think that would cover an Allegiant plane from Vegas or Weber in this case to North Dakota.
Yeah, I mean that's the purpose of the bids is
right.
That's what they claim. The purpose of the bids was to cover the cost of travel of the visiting team. So, but
I mean, do we think that UND has the largest bid out of everybody that put in bids? Because you got to put in bids before you get seated, right? So, I mean, SDSU obviously put a bid in, even though they knew they were going to get it.
Well, did you see the latest thing to come out about that?
And
that's the worst part of it all. Was when Truex came out and said, when you bid, if you're in the second round and you're seeded, right? We all were under the impression that if you are a seed, as long as you put in the minimum bid, you will get to host, right?
And
that was kind of the
minimums
consensus.
Increase, right? Is my understanding.
Yeah, something like that. But then he comes out and says, well, if one bid is way higher than the seed, we would consider who gets to host. Are you effing kidding me?
Was he saying that, or was he saying that if they didn't?
No, that's how it read in the article.
No. He said if it, I'd have to pull up the tweet, but I retweeted it. And
I thought he was saying that if the seeded team didn't submit a bid,
like
if they didn't bid at all,
then they would talk about it. That's how he started, which we kind of knew. But then, all right, here we go, because I retweeted it. Teams are not allowed to bid $0 if they want to host. As an example, if MSU bid the second round minimum this year and Weber had bid, say, 100,000, there would have been a conversation about who hosts.
Gotcha.
That's insane. After you just pull this crap with Weber and UND to come out and say that, they're so out of bounds. I mean, if that were to happen, because part of the luxury of if you know you're being a seed, you should be able to bid minimum and not get gashed for financial reasons. I mean, that should be part of it. And know that, hey, we're probably going to be a top seed up to, we're probably going to be a top 4 seed. So we're going to bid the minimum for these games to make sure that we get to host the ones we're supposed to host. And we don't have to bid something crazy and get gashed for no reason because we know we're going to be a seed. And now they bring that up. It sounds like they're just trying to milk extra money out for no damn reason. It's insane.
Yeah. So Troy's idea here of just charge each FCS school $25,000 a year each to cover the transportation cost. I think Matt Frazee had a similar idea on the FCS Fans Nation podcast, and I don't hate it. It's like just ante up.
I love it.
And like if you don't like the ante, then get out of FCS. And that way, if we ante up, then we can have more control over the playoff selection. Ideally, I mean, that would be part of the deal. And that it wouldn't be such a joke then. Because then they wouldn't have to figure out the revenue of it. You'd have plenty of revenue. You'd have plenty of dollars available for travel cost. And so we could have a legit tournament that didn't have to be this mess that it is now.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you can't, as a Division I institution, pony up $25,000 towards the championship or the playoffs, you probably should be participating anyway. Especially the amount of teams that have bye games.
In the name of having a legit playoff, like it seems worth it.
Right, and it feels insane that all the fun of this weekend is so overshadowed because the committee was so sleazy.
Yeah.
And, I said something about how bad it looks for Larson on Twitter, and Dom Izzo responded to me with a tweet and a clip from his show where Matt Larson saying, if you're in the field, you can't be in the room for when they discuss seeds or even who the first round matchups are. That's fine. And they loved selling that line, and they have loved selling that line that if your team's in and whatever, you're not in the room and whatever. Like, we're going to pretend that this is some perfect bubble and they don't run into each other outside of this room. Like they don't talk. Are we
that?
Yeah. And even if you do believe it, are we going to pretend that these dudes aren't shaking hands and yucking it up outside? Like, they know something of what's going on. Can we stop believing that bullshit lie?
Yeah. Like Dustin says, it's time to stop the shenanigans. Sponsor shout out. Love that.
Hey.
This rant that Brendan was just on is brought to you by Dakota Iron, since we don't have a game recap.
Yes.
Dakota Iron I'm sure he's more than happy to sponsor your rant.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
But yeah, find Dakota Iron for all your heavy equipment needs. They'll take care of you.
They dig deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah, they dig. We're just making up slogans for our sponsors. For
no,
it's
reason. Literally on the back of his tailgating
is it?
rig.
Okay,
yeah.
Fantastic. They do dig deeper. Okay, I was gonna say we did it for Drake's Place. Are we doing it for Dakota Iron now? But yeah, I kind of stole
right.
Dustin's Rev rants. He's asking if we can sponsor him. But
there you go. All right. Well, we better move on to the results of how the games went over the weekend and recap our picks.
I don't think we did well. I kind of breezed through them.
We didn't do great. No,
I beat you though.
I would agree with that. You did. Are you checking my work now?
Yeah. Did you not see? I was actually writing in that notebook last.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That's a thing that is going to continue to happen because I'm petty.
Chad, do you want to pull those up on the screen so I can?
And I really don't want to have to wear cat headphones with the background of you choosing.
I don't either. So Furman, this was kind of surprising to me that they took control of that game. It was a close game early, but they ended up beating Elon 31-6 and covering. They look good. It'll be interesting to see how they look in the second round. Richmond whooped up on Davidson. Davidson again proved that they can have as good of a regular season as they want, and it doesn't matter. They're never going to do anything in the playoffs.
Well, to be fair, the Pioneer League has won a game in the playoffs. It was against the Big Sky team. Let's throw that out there just because I know it's going to burn Ron's ass. Yeah, suck it, Ron. What do you think of that? You lost to a your conference lost to a non-scholarship league in the playoffs. That's bad, and you should feel bad. Anyways,
back to the picks. Delaware whooped up on St. Francis. We look like idiots for picking St. Francis there. They won 56-17. That game kind of got away from St. Francis. It was a decent game early, and then they just got I don't know. They got worn down by Delaware, who we'll talk about more later because that's who we face in our second round game here, I guess. New Hampshire Fordham was an entertaining game. It was never really in doubt for New Hampshire, but it was only a 10-point game. New Hampshire won 52-42 and covered. It was a fun game to watch because there was a lot of points.
Yes.
And then Gardner Webb was kind of surprising. Brendan and I were sitting there and we said, Eastern Kentucky's only 3-point favorite. Man, that's a lock. Yeah, well, it wasn't. Gardner Webb won 52-41 and made us look like idiots.
Well, I forgot that just because somebody inside of a conference, and not just that Rev, I'm just giving him crap, but there's a bunch of pods that I listen to from that region of the country, the Blue Bloods, the FCS Checkdown podcast and all that stuff, and they're all hyping up EKU. So you gotta, I need to keep in mind that a lot of those conferences suck.
Yeah, they may be a little biased there.
Yeah, and when that's what you watch, you're going to get a skewed version of what is really good team.
No, I'm all in for blaming Rev. I think he owes us what we bet on that game for sure.
Drinks at Frisco.
Yeah.
No, he's already let me stay. Sure, he's hooking me up with a hotel room. I can't give him too much shit.
Gotcha.
I'd take one of them purple beers he's been pimping.
All right, so then we got it was a very entertaining game, Idaho and Southeast Louisiana. That one went down to the wire. Idaho had a chance to tie it up with a field goal, and the field was a little slippery. And the kicker, they iced him, and he made the first one, didn't make the second one, slipped on the kick, and Idaho lost by 3. That one was a push. Idaho was a 3-point dog there. And then also in Montana won by 10. That game was a bit interesting in that early it looked like Montana was going to get whooped, and then they kind of turned it around and won 34-24.
Yeah, it was like 31 answered points or something like that.
Yeah,
it was just silly. And they did it in the same fashion: a kick return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown. It was just gross.
Right.
It's a shame, but
it's what do they call it? Like Beamer ball, like the Virginia Tech used to say.
Right,
Beamer ball. They used to win ugly with those special teams plays too.
I like to say hawk ball because it's like you're hawking up a loogie, and that's how I felt about it.
There you go. Last game was UND losing to Weber State, 38-31. That was another game that UND looked like they were going to get whooped early, and then they kind of came back and made it a close one at the end. But they did cover. They were 13-point dogs, and they lost by 7.
Just think if you could buy a point for $10,000.
Right. Well,
right.
Can we talk about the awful calls we witnessed? The St. Francis non-touchdown against Delaware, which completely changes the complexion of that game because it was like a 7-point game if they scored.
Yeah, they would have tied it up. Or no, yeah, it would have been a 1-score game for sure.
They'd have brought it within a touchdown, and instead they were down by 10 points. I think it was their first score, and they had to kick a field goal.
Sounds right.
The dude catches the ball, foot down, goes, and he's kind of just like he's made like 3 steps, and he's just going to drop the ball, and the Delaware guy knocks it out of his hand. And they called it a no catch. And I'm going, and we're both sitting there going, did they what? And then they reviewed it.
Yeah.
Upheld that garbage call.
Like it's horrific. Different. It's different if he's going to the ground. You have to like survive the ground.
Right.
But, like if you catch it and step 2 or 3 times, you don't have to hold onto the ball forever.
Right.
How long do you have to hold on to the ball for before it's a touchdown?
Ref's sitting there with a stopwatch. Wait, and he's just getting punched in the face by a defensive back.
That was insane. Yeah.
And then the UND forward fumble that was legal, I guess. And they somehow reviewed that. And I've never seen somebody fumble a ball when they're making a throw and then have the ball go forwards 10 yards without it being a throw, because that's what a throw is. Your arm goes forwards and the ball goes forwards. That's a pass.
Yeah,
I'm not good at definitions, but Jesus Christ, that was bad.
If they say that it was a fumble, then it should have been like batting, like because that's illegal, like to like hit a ball,
right?
Forward, like
right.
I mean, he clearly propelled the ball forward with his hand purposely, and so it's either a pass or a fumble with an illegal bat forward. That's the only 2 options that should have been called there.
Yeah,
but. And then the most awesome play was who was it on the fake extra or the fake field goal? Was it?
Oh my God, who got killed? Was that Furman? Was that the Furman game and Elon tried it, or was that?
I think so.
Good Lord, kicker. That was sexy. God, that was awesome.
That poor kicker, he just kind of depleted.
You could see the joy in his heart when he started to run. And it's like that spoof where they have the Make-A-Wish kid run downfield and he gets clobbered. The guy, that's what it felt like. Oh, he's going for a fake. Oh, God, he's dead.
There it was. Elon's kicker got destroyed.
It was. So it was Furman Elon. God, that's how you play a fake. That was just awesome.
It was impressive. All right. So let's go ahead and do you have the bracket? Nice work, Chad. You're like reading my mind here.
Fire.
All right. So take a look at the bracket here. Obviously, SDSU plays Delaware. And then we will play the winner. Well, if we win, we'll play the winner of Holy Cross in New Hampshire, which, that the New Hampshire team, it's hard to tell how good they are just based on that last game.
Right.
They did score 52, but we knew going into that Fordham did not have a defense. And so they made New Hampshire's offense look really, really good. Now, the running back that New Hampshire has, I don't know his name, he's number 20, I think it is.
Yeah.
That kid is a stud. Like he's good. If that's who we play, we're gonna have to watch him. But I don't know. We can talk about that matchup if it happens. But interested to see who wins that game, because obviously it has some implications for us.
Well, that was the funniest touchdown celebration on the way down to score I've ever seen, when he high-fived his blocker. And it wasn't like a quick one. Like, they made eye contact. Yeah. High-fived on the way to the end zone.
That's how bad Fordham's defense was. Like, New Hampshire was slapping hands on the way to scoring a touchdown.
I've never seen that before. It was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And then we've got William and Mary faces Gardner-Webb. By the way, it's Bill and Mary. Chad, you were calling him Bob and Mary on the A-Team pod? I don't think Bob is a shortened version of William.
It's a joke. Never mind.
Maybe
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's dumb, but right. Never mind.
He just does it to be annoying, but it's hilarious.
Okay. All right. Well, you never know.
Old Billiam and Mary.
And then we've got Montana State, Weber State, which is a very intriguing game.
Yes.
On the other side of the bracket, we've got NDSU hosting Montana, Samford hosting Southeastern Louisiana, Incarnate Word hosting Furman, and Sac State hosting Richmond, which again is a very intriguing game.
Yes.
That's how the bracket looks right now. If you watch the FCS Fans Nation podcast, which I highly recommend, they do a great job of breaking down the first round games and previewing second round games. They talked about, talked about how many seeds they think are going to get upset, and we'll see. We're picking against a spread, so it's a little different. But I guess my take is I think that we'll see 2 seeds fall.
I could see up to 4. I could see up to 4. Yeah, because I can absolutely see Furman beating Incarnate Word, because, watching that Southeastern Louisiana game against Idaho, to be honest, Sela almost earned the Southland Conference back the D in their name. I was impressed. They had a little bit of defense there. And the last time somebody with a little bit of defense played Incarnate Word, they beat them. And Southeastern Louisiana is a little bit more, obviously, Southland style team, high flying, up tempo. I could see a team like Furman that loves to run the ball, just keeping the good doctor Lindsey Scott off of the field and controlling the game. That's something I could absolutely see happening. Sacramento State hasn't.
I was going to say, with that Incarnate Word game, they've got a lot to prove, right?
Right.
They've been this high flying offense, and they got the Walter Payton Award winner likely on their team, and it'll be interesting to see. We see these teams come in and then they just are a dud in the playoffs. So it'd be interesting to see how that one goes.
I could see Sac State losing to Richmond. Richmond's a solid team, and I think Sac State's a really good team. But until they get that monkey off their back, I have reason to doubt them. And then I could absolutely see New Hampshire beating Holy Cross as well. So those are 4 teams I could see being upset.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
Plus Montana State and Weber. I forgot about that. Dustin Helton brings that up.
Yep.
So 5. I could see 5. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. I doubt that happens. But
this is madness. I'm rooting for it.
All
as long as we're not one of the seeds.
Let's go ahead and pick these games now that we've talked about them. The spreads are shown on the screen there. The first game we've got is Furman going to Incarnate Word, and Incarnate Word is only a 4-point favorite here. I'll let you, since you're ahead by 2 picks now, I will let you go first.
You're so magnanimous. I appreciate that. Man, that's a tough spread. Like I said, I can see Furman beating Incarnate Word, but I think the Word wins by somewhere from like 6 to 10 points. So give me UIW.
I think I have to take Incarnate Word as well. Jamie talked about it on the FCS Fans Nation podcast that the Furman's pass defense is just not good. Somebody else mentioned that in the comments.
That word. I love it.
how bad their Furman's pass defense is. So I will take Incarnate Word in this one as well, winning by at least 4.
Oh, Dustin, we tied last week.
There you go. And then we've got this spread surprised me. Yeah. We got Sac State favored by 14 at home against Richmond.
Whoa. I got to take Richmond. I mean, they are traveling across the country, but yeah, I'm going to take Richmond. I think Sac State wins, but a lot of times when teams are getting over that hump, it's kind of a chore. So I think it'll be closer than that.
Yeah, I like the points. That's 2 full touchdowns. I really, like Jace Hollenbeck says, hammer it. I think that's a pretty safe pick with Richmond plus 14 there. The SLU Samford game, there wasn't a spread listed. So we're just going to do that one as a pick 'em, which I can see that being the case. I don't know that Samford would be a big favorite if they are a favorite. I know they would be favored, but I bet it's, if anything, it's 1 or 2. So we'll go ahead and use that. Pick that one as a pick 'em. What do you got?
Well, after watching that Idaho game, I think Idaho has a better defense than Samford does, but also Samford's got a way more potent offense. Just having watched them play Mercer, I've never seen receivers that sure-handed. Like everything that was near them, they caught the ball. It was impressive. So I'm going to take Samford since it is at Samford. But I could totally see him losing this game.
Don't want to pick the same as you, but I think I'm going to. Jim Poppins' desperation is a stinky cologne.
It is. I can smell it. It causes you to have to use your phone instead of your laptop to record.
I'm not desperate. You're desperate. If I was desperate, I'd be going the opposite of you in all these games.
You're running out of games to be able to catch up on too, because after this round, they get pretty thin.
I think, and the Rev said that he thinks that Samford will be a 6-point favorite. I'd have to go check. I don't know if you have that site, Brendan, if you could check that.
I don't, but perhaps producer Chad does. I don't know. I
have it on my phone, but I'd have to go off screen. We'll just pick it as a pick 'em. I'm going to go SLU in this one. I think their offense looked pretty good. They think their defense does enough. I think that is one of the seeds that goes down. Then we've got Montana going to NDSU. This spread also was interesting. I thought the spread would be bigger. Vegas seems to love Montana. I think it's a stats thing because the games that they did win, they won by a lot. So NDSU is only a 6.5-point favorite at home. Which
I'm taking NDSU all the way, man.
I think you have to.
If anybody watched the beginning of that SEMO game, SEMO's running back just pummeled Montana. And that's Southeastern Missouri State. No disrespect to them, but they don't have the rush attack of NDSU. And we've seen what Montana State run game did to them. And I would love Montana to win this game, which makes me feel a little dirty because I really am not a Montana fan at all. But I just like seeing NDSU lose. It's my second favorite thing in the world besides SDSU winning. So, but I just don't in the Fargo Dome with a place they haven't played in a long time against that. I don't see them getting anything done.
How percentage of capacity will the Fargo Dome be? Full, right?
No.
I imagine. No.
Well, maybe for Montana.
I think Montana will travel a bit.
I'm betting they'll
help them sell it out.
I'm betting they'll have 17-2. Nice dig. That was good. That was well done. I like that. I'm here for that sort of petty. As long as Montana's there to help them out, then it'll sell out.
I mean, we had to help them sell it out earlier this year.
Someone has to, I mean, they needed their rivals to sell out the 2 sellouts they had. Just saying. We didn't. But, whatever.
Yeah, as Kendall says, NDSU is dealing with the transfer portal. It will be interesting to see if that has any effect. I think if anything, it can have a better effect on them. Just kind of a camaraderie, like, hey, let's screw those guys. They're out of here. Let's band together and win this thing without them.
Right.
I think that's what the coaches will probably push, I'm guessing.
No Hunter Lipke, but like Brendan pointed out.
Is that confirmed? No Hunter Lipke?
Yes.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Even without Hunter Lipke, I think the NDSU offense has enough. I think what's up, Dallas? How's it going, man?
Hey, Dallas. Hello.
I think the only way Montana stays in this game is with some of that black magic or whatever, Montana magic.
Right.
With some crazy special teams plays. And I think
Troy has obviously never seen a game in the Fargo Dome. He's a very silly, silly person. I bet the referees.
Yeah, Troy Montana. Says I bet the referees help Montana. But no,
I think you're a big Sky fan, aren't you? That's adorable.
I think NDSU is too disciplined to fall for that.
Or he's an NDSU fan. Is Troy an NDSU fan?
Honey Badger says Montana's crowd didn't show up for their own game. Fargo will have empty seats. It was Thanksgiving weekend. So, yeah.
Like that narrative has to stop too. Like, oh, it looks so bad for the FCS. Have you seen a single screenshot of Maction this year? Or how about Texas A&M Stadium or Stanford? I mean, there's more empty seat. The amount of empty seats that are in some of those stadiums, you could fill the Dana 15 times with. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Attendance sucks that weekend for everybody.
Yep.
That's just reality.
Yep. Next game we got here is Gardner Webb, who is kind of the Cinderella story so far of the playoffs, which is kind of silly because they were only 3-point dogs, but nobody really expected them to win. They go to William & Mary. William & Mary is only a 7-point favorite here. I'll go first on this one. I'll take William & Mary. I think that they take control of this game. Did you put Bob in there? What is that?
It's Bob and Mary.
You started
Did you just catch that? For Incarnate Word, he put in word, TEH word. It was funny.
I'm surprised he hasn't tried to color code my spreadsheet here and really mess it up.
We're just here to have a good time. Now, did you put that pick in his?
Yeah.
Chad,
do you want Gardner Webb or William & Mary?
No, I want William & Mary, but I want to make sure Chad's putting it in the right spot because you went first.
Yeah.
I put it in the wrong spot. I'm sorry.
I thought so. And it doesn't matter. I'm just saying for the future, I have to protect myself here from a bogus
had it right
loss.
Thus far, so my bad.
Well, that's because I've been picking first so far. So, no, I think William & Mary's just set up to stop Gardner Webb's run because EKU towards the end of that game just looked like they were getting gashed, and then
their defense did not look good.
And I have a lot more faith in William & Mary to hold up to that and to wear down a Gardner Webb defense. So, give me the Tribe.
Yep. All right, we've got Weber State going to Montana State. This spread also surprised me. I thought Montana State would be favored by a little more, but Montana State is only favored by 1.
That's a spicy meatball.
I knew it was coming.
With the spread, it sure is.
That's the spicy. Brendan's spicy meatball of the week. I love it.
Oh man, I don't have.
We need Fazoli's or somebody to sponsor.
Fazoli's, high quality Italian at fast food prices.
Go for your drive-through Italian and spicy meatballs.
Only if they talk like that on the drive-through speaker. Maybe we could get Johnny Carino's spicy meatballs.
Mario and Luigi running the drive-through.
Hello, welcome to Fazoli's. All right. I'm gonna take Montana State. Weber State, I think they're very good. I would like Weber State to beat Montana State. Now I think you're putting me in the wrong thing again, Chad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Damn it. Get it together. Anyways, I'm going to take Montana State.
I put Missouri State on there on purpose. It was a bad
I thought, okay. I would have thought I'd have gone for it, but it was in Ben's spot. I'm going to take Montana State. I think all they've been hearing this whole time is about how tough of a matchup this is, how Weber State should have beat them because of the bad snaps for the safeties and how they didn't deserve to win that game, and they're going to be all sorts of pissed off. They get Afonso back. So give me Montana State at home, and I think they win convincingly. I think they're going to be pissed off.
I'm going to go opposite here. I'm going to take Weber
Apo Taco, and the lead for me grows. I dig it.
We've got two opposites so far.
Ron, if your kitties let me down, you owe me Fazoli's. I think it's like $5.
Montana State is on a roll here. However, I don't think we will make as many mistakes as they did last time they were there. And if you look at the Montana State, they're on a roll, but who are they beating? If you want to take big credit for beating Montana, sure, go ahead. But I think NDSU is going to do the same thing in Montana this week.
Right.
And if you look at who other than that, they haven't had that impressive a win. So I'm going to take Weber State in this one. Next game, we've got New Hampshire going to Holy Cross. Holy Cross is listed as a 9-point favorite.
No way. I'm not going to lie. So Dustin asked, can you get rolls at Fazoli's? I don't know. I think breadsticks, like Chad says, but I will say what you can get on our picks recap is the 50 Butterburger of the Week watch brought to you by Culver's Brookings and Watertown. I could see UNH hammering Holy Cross because I don't think Holy Cross has the offense of Fordham, and they have a better defense than Fordham, but I don't think their offense is going to be on the field enough to keep up with them. So give me the Wildcats. Maybe Holy Cross proves us wrong, and that's who we're facing, but I got a sneaky suspicion that there's a chance we face all CAA teams throughout the bracket if we advance.
Yeah, that's potential. I'm off screen for now. I'm looking up. I just want to make sure that this spread's right because it doesn't feel right. I just don't know how Holy Cross would be favored by that much against New Hampshire.
Because they're the 8 seed, and New Hampshire really hasn't beaten anybody that much of.
Yeah. No, it's right. It's right.
I'm going to take
the other thing I was going to check is see if that Sanford SLU spread was up yet, but it is not.
Where did Ben go now? Did Ben go now? I only see a black screen. He's nowhere around.
The Rev is probably right. That Sanford spread will end up being 6, but that's okay. That's what we'll pick it as. Anyway, so who did you pick in this one? New Hampshire?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think you have to when it's 9.
Shake them dice and roll them. Come on.
If it was
don't be a coward. Coward.
If it was a pick 'em,
eat chicken.
I'd consider Holy Cross, but not at 9. I think UNH keeps this game close.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see who pulls it off. Last but not least, we've got SDSU. Delaware's coming to town again. Henderson's coming to town. SDSU is a 14.5-point favorite, which I absolutely hate and have no idea how to pick.
That's a testament to the team. That's a testament to being the number 1 seed. That's a testament to the team. The tough part is Delaware was ranked in the top 10 for a reason earlier in the season. And then I think they struggled with some injuries. I think the quarterback was hurt for a little bit of the season, if I remember right. Woosta, says Dustin Helton. But Delaware has a really, really salty defense. If you look statistically, they're the only team in the Big 3 conferences within shouting distance of points per game given up. Their run defense isn't nearly as stout as ours, which I think bodes well for us. However, in the past, we've had issues with the 3-3-5. Now, on the flip side, Villanova runs a similar defense, and we did well against them in the playoffs last year. So hopefully Mason McCormick and Greenfield and Gus are all on the same page and, can use some of that experience to get rolling against this defense. On the flip side, they are a pretty good passing team, especially when the quarterback's in there. I think when I remember looking at the stats, it was weird. It was kind of flipped. Our running game was very good, like top 50 or top 25 in the country. Their passing game was top 25 in the country. And then our passing game was around the 60 to 70 range for yards per game. And then their rushing game was around the 60, 70 rank in the yards per game. So that's an interesting stat, particularly because our strength, I would argue, is running the ball. Not that we're bad at passing the ball. I think we're very good at passing the ball, especially with the weapons we have. But I would argue our strength is running the ball and grinding teams down. And Delaware's defense is weaker, I guess, if you have to say it. Part of their defense is against the run game. And if you were to statistically look at our defense, you would argue that our passing defense would be the quote-unquote weakness. Not that it's weak, but just that if you were to line it up compared to how our running defense does, it's not quite to that level. And Delaware seems to be better at passing the ball. I do think we should be capable of making Delaware have to be one-dimensional again with how good our run defense has been this year, particularly with everybody back healthy. My concern is if it takes the offense a little bit of time to get cooking after the 2 weeks off. If it takes a week, if it takes a couple drives, then I hate this line. If we come out firing on all cylinders right away and can move the ball, get some points first drive, then I love this line. So I don't know on this one. You have any insight? Because I just talked like an idiot for 10 minutes.
I enjoyed it. That was great insight.
Whatever.
And, it was interesting. Shit. So we were watching, paying pretty close attention to the St. Francis Delaware game, knowing that we were gonna play the winner of that game. And I hadn't looked up their stats before that game. If you would have asked me what's their strong suit, is it their run defense or their pass defense, I would have said run defense. Because They looked way better against the run than the pass. St. Francis was kind of gashing them in the pass game. Now, it's tough to tell if that was just a scheme thing. Maybe they were selling out on the run, saying, hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to throw it. And clearly St. Francis couldn't do enough of that. So you can't take too much away from one game. However, I do think that I think we'll be able to move the ball against them. I think between the different scheme they run on defense and then us having 2 weeks off, essentially 3 weeks off, I think that we'll come out slow. I think at the first half, we probably won't be happy with how the game's going. I could see us leading 10-7 at half and us being kind of nervous. However, I do feel like we'll get our feet under us and I feel like we'll start to take over the game in the second half. I'm going to go ahead and take SDSU in this one. I think that we win 31-14 by 17.
Oof. I don't hate that. I do think our defense should be – I have more faith in our defense to stymie them the whole game and our offense and our big offensive line to wear their defensive line out and start to gash them in the second half. So I'm going to be also picking SDSU. I think it'll be like a 1-score game going into the fourth, and then we score one more long choke them out drive to slam the door shut. I don't think people should be expecting a game like we had in the semifinals with them last year. I think that's just one of those games.
Is it me or did Brendan freeze?
I think Brendan froze.
He said he only had 17 minutes worth of battery left, so it could have been
problem.
I
actually thought it was
a great face, though.
I saw
Can I make
moving? And I'm like, oh no, I'm still alive.
Maybe I could give him a solo here. So we can see that. Just give him a solo here.
Perfect.
I think he was gonna choose SDSU. To be fair,
I don't know if he was, because I think he was saying that we'd only win by 2 scores, but hopefully he can get back on here and make his final pick. Kendall says Delaware score will be lower than the temperature.
And he's back.
He's back. Here we go.
My computer died, so we're doing this headphones only.
We figured. I kind of stated as much. So,
oopsie.
What were you saying? Were you saying SDSU is only going to win by 2 scores?
Oh, okay.
I'll take SDSU. Whatever.
What's the score?
I mean, you don't have.
I don't pick the score, Chad. You know this.
You have a pretty good streak. You have a pretty good streak going of picking against SDSU and then us winning by a ton. So you don't want to break that.
Yeah, my theory would put it's 14.5. Yeah, I'll take Delaware. He's feeling good about this. I have a chance. Yeah, you picked against me in the other ones.
But no,
that Weber State's going to balance it out, so it's fine.
I would rather not be only up by 1 score going into the fourth quarter, because I had enough of a problem watching the USA soccer game today. Where I had to sweat that one out late.
Right.
If anybody else watched that game, that was it decreased the years of my life, and I don't need that this Saturday. Having said that, the comment about the temperature doesn't matter. Get dressed up. It's supposed to be windy Saturday. I don't care. He's just saying it's going to neutralize a large part of their offense with Henderson. Dion Blue and Raider said that, and there is potential there. I think Henderson. He is more of a he's got that Tommy Schuster in him. This kind of a scrambling quarterback. I think we need to put him on his ass a couple times, and he'll kind of feel that cold hard turf, and I think he'll kind of shrivel up and not have a good rest of the game. But Jesse Royston says, "Wish I could be there. Hopefully, see you guys in a couple weeks." We'll see about that. He's supposed to have a baby soon, so don't know if we'll see him. But anyway. What I was saying is everybody should dress appropriately, get out to the game, stop by our tailgate. We'll be the big blue conglomeration of tents.
Yes.
We've all got these sweet zip up sides now, and we've got heaters inside, and it is like toasty warm in there. So if you're looking for a warm spot to tailgate, stop by, have a beer. I think Brendan's, what are you, smoking a turkey?
I'm smoking a turkey.
I'm going to make some green bean casserole because I was going to for Thanksgiving and never did. So I got the ingredients. So you might as well.
Yes.
It's going to be Thanksgiving in Brookings. But yeah, get your playoff tickets and get to the game.
Yeah. Our Matt Zimmer, I almost his Twitter handle, Argus Matt Z. Matt Zimmer had a phenomenal article about this. He said what we've been trying to say or have been saying. He just said it more eloquently than me calling people soft. It's time as a fan base to sack up and show up. Like, this is going to be a yearly thing, and it's been we're on 12 years in a row now. It's the 4th longest playoff streak in FCS history, period, which is amazing considering how long we've been eligible for the playoffs. But people just got to get used to it. That's what it is. This is what it is. And you can say, stadium experience this and that and whatever. At some point, it is on the fans. They can only do so much. What are they supposed to do? Roll out a personal tent for each person who buys a ticket? Tickets are $12. They're not that expensive. It is what it is. I got people messaging me about Natty tickets right now. Like, show up to these games. Be there. It matters. It's a huge difference. It makes a huge difference for the morale of the team. Never mind what effect big crowd can have on a game, especially a loud one like we have in the cold. Yeah, get there, have fun. Hopefully we can make them one-dimensional. I love our odds if we can just absolutely force them to not run the ball and only pass, because we saw what happened where our D-line was able to get their ears pinned back and just know that they're trying to pass all the time. It worked out well. Henderson was beaten to hell that game. So I would love to see a repeat of that. I don't know if it's going to happen that way, but that would be awesome.
That's pretty cool. I didn't go to the last comment about the students. I did not know that they were getting free tickets to every game. That's pretty cool.
President Dunn paid for them.
That's what, Braxton Ross
which is
mentioned.
sick. Yep. Same. Yeah, I would love even if the student section packs it out like they have been all year, except for, going to give them a pass on the last game because, long weekend, whatever. Now it's your time to shine, kids. Yeah. Show us up. Show up these soft old people who won't show up when it's cold.
Like Dion said, these guys deserve it. And
yes,
we need to be the 12th man this team deserves. Dress up and step up. And, you talk about odds and you talk about Frisco. If you've been paying attention to the odds, we are the odds-on favorite to go to Frisco. Let's make sure that happens by having a home field advantage. These guys have earned the right to have the number 1 seed. Let's make it worth something. It's only worth something if people show up and we make it a home field. If nobody shows up and it's just a quiet, cold stadium, they might as well be in, Delaware.
Right.
I mean,
I'm in Delaware.
there's some comfort being in Brookings, but let's get out there and really show them the support they need. Chad brought up the championship odds there, which again is really interesting that Sac State is plus 250 still, and NDSU is plus 800, but I don't know. These might not be the updated ones. The updated ones I saw were...
They're not the updated ones. This is the most recent I could find.
The updated ones were interesting because Weber State and Montana State had about equal odds to make it to the semifinals, which is kind of represented in their spread this week of only being a 1-point spread. So, we'll see how that game goes, see how the Holy Cross New Hampshire game goes, and hopefully we're looking forward to the next round after this game.
Yes, and somebody mentioned bringing cowbells. I'm bringing cowbells. I'm bringing cheap ones. I think everybody should do it. They can't stop all of us. Just bring the goddamn thing. See what happens.
That's fun.
That's how Mississippi State does it. Montana State brings them to damn playoff games. So get out of my face. It's not a conference game anymore. Bring cowbells. And then just start bringing conference games. Mississippi State, like the SEC, outlawed the cowbells at games apparently in the 70s, and they just did it anyways.
They just keep doing it.
Yeah. So let's bring them back. I think that's up to us fans. Just bring it back, see what happens. Maybe we'll get a nasty gram from the university later. Don't be encouraging that, but I'm encouraging it.
Yeah. I was gonna say we probably don't want to be the ones that push that agenda. But if our listeners push that agenda, then maybe we can say we didn't have a whole lot to do with it.
B Team Mafia is gonna get it done, baby. And I will. And for anybody listening who did order one of the new white and checkerboard flags, show up to the tailgate in the library lot right across from where the alumni tent is. I will have the flags at the tailgate. Matt's getting them to me. And
the mega tent. Show up.
I love it. I love Dustin's comment. That's beautiful. If they wanted if our players wanted a quiet, cold stadium, they'd have gone to school in Vermilion. And that's a mic drop. That's a walk off. I love it.
Except for they wouldn't be playing this time of year.
Well, that too.
This is true. All right. With that, get to the game. Go big. Go blue.
Go Jacks.